Hi there, Uranus here. Today we're going to talk about the villain. We're going to talk about villains. Why modern comics can't seem to write good villains. So, maybe it's my imagination. Maybe I'm wrong. Can anyone give me a really good villain, really memorable villain from the last decade of comics? Anyone? Bueller? No. Okay. Well, there we go. Well, what happened? Why can't we write compelling villains anymore? Or at least why can't mainstream comics write compelling villains? Well, I think it has to do with the fact that they don't understand what villainy is. Okay? They think villainy is a character. It's basically a physical trait. They think, okay, well, what's the color of the skin and what's the genitalia? Okay, that's a villain. Well, that's not really nuanced now, is it? Plus, there are good, white, straight males. They do exist. And you probably know one. Well, maybe not the SJWs. All they've got around them are beta cucks. That's all they would allow. But anyway, now villainy is something a little more subtle than that. Because no one ever really thinks they're the villain. I mean, you see characters at times that seem to revel in being bad and doing bad things to people. But the truth of the matter is that villain thinks that they're the hero of the story. When you see SJWs do horrible things to people, say despicable things, you threaten people's children, threaten to dox people, and they do it unironically, they actually think they're doing a good thing. But they're villains. But they don't know they're villains. Why don't they know they're villains? Because they don't see their actions as evil. Well, mainly because how do we know things are evil? The Judeo-Christian ethic. And they have rejected ethics entirely. So how would they know that they're doing evil things? They don't understand good. They don't understand evil. It's all subjective. There's no guidelines. And so if you don't know what rules are being broken, or if any rules are being broken, then how in the world are you going to write a villain? Because villains break rules. You gotta know the rules exist before you can write someone that breaks them. And so these villains, they're flat. They're lifeless. They basically, do the whole evil laugh thing, but you don't understand their motives. You don't understand any depth to them. And they're basically just cardboard cutouts to be mowed down. How boring is that? You don't have the Joker and his nihilism and randomness. You don't have anybody like Captain Cool, from the Flash pantheon, or even somebody like General Zod. You don't have a General Zod. Or go over to Marvel. They've got great villains over there. Magneto, which is a very sympathetic character. You actually understand why he's doing what he's doing. Look at the tattoo on his arm. Or Doctor Doom, who's actually a pretty decent leader of his country. And everything he does to conquer the rest of the world is to expand his territories for his country. He doesn't see himself as a villain. Bounce back to DC, Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is a very complicated individual. The reason why he's trying to destroy Superman is he thinks that he's protecting the Earth from an alien. It's nuance, right? There's this book called Forever Evil, where all the villains of the DC universe have to get together because the big heavy hitters of the Justice League get taken out by an evil, doppelganger version of the Justice League from a parallel universe. And so to save the world that they eventually want to conquer, they have to team up and they have to save the heroes. And watching these men, and whoever wrote it, I forgot to fish it out and look, but it was brilliant because these people never stopped being bad. They just had to do good things for self-serving purposes, but they had to do heroic things. Had to put their lives on the line. Had to really risk something, because either that or the annihilation of the Earth and annihilation of them along with it. But they never tried to make them good. They just kind of made them resigned to having to do good things temporarily, But villainy, of a good villain character, you just have to have someone who thinks they're the hero, and they're wrong. That's the best villains. In movies, what's the best villains have been in movies? Heath Ledger's Joker, who thought he was trying to teach the world a lesson. Tell me that guy thought he was the bad guy. Well, I guess he just saw himself as an agent of chaos, but, that's neither here nor there. But, we've had some real good bad guys in especially comic book movies. Thanos, they did a real good job with Thanos. Thanos thought he was saving the universe by taking out half of the living life. And there's a bunch of SJWs that said Thanos was right. And they still don't know that they're the villains. That's hilarious. But you know what? The ends do not justify the means. And there is right and there is wrong. People who choose to do the wrong thing are villains. They're somebody's villain. And that's what makes it interesting. Because villainy and heroism is just a decision away. That's why the bad guys can make good decisions, and for that moment in time, they're the hero. Or a hero makes a bad decision, and for that moment in time, they're the villain. So villainy and heroism are two sides of the same coin. If you don't write your villains with heroic aspects, and if you don't write your heroes with a little bit of villainy in them, then you're going to miss the point of humanity. We're all villains. We're all heroes. Just depends on the day. And that is the view of Uranus. So have a nice day.